You might think, a penny? Seriously? Yes. That unassuming coin could be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. Stick with me because by the end you'll see why this is the kind of discovery people dream about, and why you'll want to check your pocket change tonight. There's a legend among numismatists, a 1982 penny without any mint mark, no D, no S, nothing. That means it was struck on a Philadelphia press, yet it bears unusual characteristics so distinct that many experts believe one version may be extremely rare. Some speculate if one of these coins surfaced in pristine condition, it could fetch upwards of $860,000, a figure that sounds more like fantasy than reality. Let's explore the journey behind this coin, the forces that might make one of these worth millions, and why time is of the essence if you own a rare penny right now. It starts with a seemingly ordinary year, 1982. The U.S. Mint had transitioned to using both copper-plated zinc and, previously, copper coins. There was confusion, variation, and experimentation. In that shuffle, some coins were struck under, conditions never fully documented or released to the public. Some coins may have escaped grading, auditing, or oversight altogether. That's where anomalies emerge. Now imagine a coin struck in that ambiguous window without a mint mark, bearing minute but crucial die variations. What seems like a simple penny becomes a clandestine treasure. Collectors are whispering about one possible specimen that stands above the rest, possibly unique. And if one day it's confirmed and sold, we aren't talking selling your car or your house. We're talking financial transformation. As you listen, you may feel excitement bubbling, or maybe skepticism. Good. Keep it alive. Because we're going to weave fact, theory, and possibility. And by the end, you'll be scanning your coin rolls in a way you simply never did before. The story unfolds in 3 acts. First, the mystery. How could something so common hide something so spectacular? What was going on in the mint in 1982? Second, the evidence. What supports the possibility that this coin could be worth this much? Who's talking? What's the price history? What barriers stand between you and this fortune? Then third, your opportunity. If you own or discover such a coin, what do you do? What urgency demands action now? To begin, picture the Philadelphia Mint humming away in 1982. No P mint mark was used on cents because the Philadelphia facility traditionally omitted the mint mark on cents. That meant every penny from Philly lacked a mark, normal. But what isn't normal is that some of those cents may have slight die errors, striking differences, and variations so subtle that only experts have spotted them. In certain cases, a die could have been used briefly, producing a small run, maybe even a single specimen, of an off-record variety. We know that numismatic history is littered with stories of coins that slipped past oversight. The 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, the 2004 Wisconsin quarter errors, all caused by mistakes or anomalies that became legends. This 1982 no-mark penny may just be the next legendary coin waiting for revelation. Now, you might say, okay, but where's the proof? Has one ever sold for $800,000? No verified sale to that level has publicly been documented for now. That's where things get thrilling. We're dealing in possibility, bound by rarity, conjecture, and high-stakes numismatic speculation, and possibility with the right evidence can shatter expectations. In recent years, rumors have emerged in coin forums and by private dealers. Whispers of a specimen that's beyond description, one that's been sequestered in a private collection, screened and graded, its existence known only to a few. Some theorize that a perfect MS-70 example, with die varieties, could command a headline-grabbing auction. One source suggested that if it ever appears publicly, $860,000 would be a baseline price, and that's before bidding wars push it exponentially higher. Could someone here watching this video already have that coin, kept it for decades, never realizing its potential? It's not just fantasy, it's real possibility. But possibility alone isn't enough. What evidence bolsters it? First, we have pattern coins and trial strikes the mint sometimes made in between production runs. Some of those dies never made it into full circulation, but were retired or shelved. Occasionally, a trial piece escapes through oversight or transfer. Second, we know the 1982 composition change, from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc, introduced variables, inconsistencies, and even misfeeds. Third, we have numismatic catalogs that record unpublished errors or anomalies mentioned in private communications, hints that specialists have seen odd 1982 cents over the years and filed them quietly for later study. In coin grading circles, people talk about die marriage, microvarieties, plant stage differences, and enthusiasts pore over microscopic differences in the grain structure, doubling, strike depth, or metallic anomalies. One little atomic shift in composition could mark a coin as extraordinary. Get one in pristine condition, never cleaned, never touched, and the net effect could be astronomical. Still, skeptics ask. No public sale, no verification. That keeps this in the rare but not yet certain category. But that's where you come in. The excitement is exactly here, on the tip of reveal, because if one emerges, the stories will explode, and whoever owns it will see life change. You may feel a twinge of fear. What if someone else already got it and you missed your chance? What if it's gone forever? That urgency is real. I'm not telling you to act recklessly. I'm telling you to check now. Your rolls, your albums, your estate finds. What if the coin that changes your life is quietly stashed in your attic? Before we move to what you should do next, let me reset your attention. When was the last time you held a penny and thought it might be worth a life-altering fortune? Probably never. Now imagine every jar, every box, every roll is a ticket to discovery. Don't let your eyes glaze over, because hidden treasure might already be in your hands. If you own any 1982 no-mint mark cent, even typical ones, get them out, scrutinize them, photograph them, get them graded. If you stumble upon one with odd toning, micro variations, or an uncanny sharpness beyond typical circulation wear, stop. That's a signal. Because at that moment, you've gone from collector to potential million-dollar revelation. Imagine you contact a reputable coin grading service. They confirm it's an unpublished variety. They assign a superlative grade. It goes to auction. Bidders around the world log on. Investors, museums, private collectors. The hammer falls, $860,000 or more. Suddenly, the penny in your hand pays your mortgage, funds your dreams, even finances generational wealth. As you picture that, hear this. There's a reason the coin hasn't been widely publicized. The owners, if they exist, are protecting anonymity. The numismatic community is cautious. Authentication is painstaking, but that also means the opportunity window is narrow. Once one surfaces and makes headlines, the rush will be unstoppable. By the time the coin sells publicly, the valuations will skyrocket, and there may be legal wrangling, challenges, provenance debates. You want to be ahead of the line. You want to be the one submitting your specimen, not chasing one at auction. Right now, the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a whisper in specialists' circles. That gives you the chance to act before the public stampede. You may feel a spark of hope or disbelief, but act on that spark. Now let's think about you. You're not here by accident. You're someone who values legacy, opportunity, hidden assets, someone open to extraordinary possibility. So here's what you do. Inventory. Gather every 1982 penny you own. Rolls, albums, collections. Don't neglect dusty change. Inspect. Under strong light, magnification. Compare edges, lettering, strike detail. Look for anomalies, sharpness, die shifts, odd toning. Document. Photograph both sides in high resolution. Record weight, diameter, any differences in color or texture. Submit for grading with top-tier services. Use secure, insured shipping and request special reviews. Explain you believe it may be an unpublished variety. Consult experts, trusted numismatists, auction houses, coin forums. Let them weigh in. Be patient and remain ready. If verified, don't sell precipitously. Seek proper auction exposure. Let the market recognize the rarity. But here's the critical kicker. You must act before the big reveal. Once the public knows, prices will escalate. Competition will surge, authentication will tighten, and your chance to be the first mover shrinks. That's urgency. That's your advantage. You might think it's a stretch. Who would believe a penny is worth hundreds of thousands? But now you've heard the framework. The possibility, the evidence, the strategy. That changes the lens through which you view your coins forever. Let's pause just a moment and imagine your life if you're the one who owned that coin. The impact goes beyond cash. You'll be the collector who discovered a once unknown treasure, the one whose name is whispered at auctions, the one who turns dusty spare change into life-changing capital. You'll be more than collector, you'll be legend. But don't let the opportunity slip. While you're considering, someone else could have already done exactly what I'm telling you to do. The first move is decisive. Now, just one more twist before we close. Suppose no specimen exactly matches this fabled version. That doesn't mean there isn't a near-rare variation of extreme value. Many coins, even ones once dismissed, have climbed into 6 and 7 figures through errors, die breaks, extreme rarity. So even if you don't have the exact mythical specimen, you might still. This is not just another coin story. This is a story about hidden wealth, forgotten history, and how something as simple as a penny could hold the power to change your life forever. Before you toss that old jar of change aside, listen closely, because by the end of this story, you might never look at a penny the same way again. Let's go back to where it all began. In 1978, America was changing. Inflation was rising, gas prices were spiking, and people were tightening their belts. But in the middle of all this economic uncertainty, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents. These coins were simple, copper, round, stamped with Abraham Lincoln's familiar face on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the other. Nothing unusual, at least that's what most people thought. But among the countless pennies struck that year, a few emerged without a tiny but crucial mark. The mint mark. Typically, coins are stamped with a letter, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, to show where they were made. Yet some 1978 pennies bore no mark at all. At first, no one noticed. Why would they? It was just another penny in a sea of copper. Until a few decades later, collectors began noticing something strange. A small handful of these 1978 no-mint mark pennies were different. They had sharper details, richer coloration, and most importantly, rare variations in their metal composition and die strikes. These weren't mere minting errors, they were anomalies. And in the coin world, anomalies mean money. Now, before you start digging through your couch cushions, let's pause for a second. Imagine you're holding a penny in your hand. You're about to buy a coffee, maybe tip the barista. But what if that tiny coin could pay off your mortgage instead? Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yet this is the reality for a lucky few who stumbled across one of these elusive 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln cents. One of these coins surfaced in near-perfect condition, graded by experts as a mint-state specimen. When it hit the auction block, the bids didn't just rise, they exploded. $10,000, $50,000, $200,000, until it finally reached a staggering $865,000. A penny worth almost $1 million. You might be asking yourself, why? What makes this coin so special? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, and mystery. First, the rarity. While millions of pennies were produced in 1978, the number of flawless, no-mint mark specimens is microscopic. Some experts estimate fewer than a dozen in top condition exist. That's rarer than many gold coins or even diamonds. Then there's the condition. Most pennies from the late 70s have been through decades of pockets, purses, and parking meters. Finding one that's never been touched by circulation is like discovering buried treasure in your backyard. And finally, the mystery. Even experts still debate why these no mint mark versions exist. Was it an intentional test run, a minting error, or a secret batch struck for collectors that accidentally escaped into circulation? The unknown adds an irresistible aura of intrigue. But here's the part most people miss. This isn't just about coins. It's about the hidden value we walk past every single day. How many times have you ignored the pennies scattered on your car floor or dismissed that old coin jar in your closet? What if one of those could be your ticket to financial freedom? And yes, it's possible. People across the country are cashing in on forgotten coins, sometimes without even realizing it until a buyer or appraiser tells them the shocking truth. But let's be honest, the odds aren't in everyone's favor. For every rare penny worth 6 figures, there are thousands that are worth, well, a penny. That's where knowledge becomes power. Knowing what to look for, small details like the shape of the date, the sharpness of Lincoln's features, or even the texture of the rim, can mean the difference between a lucky find and a missed fortune. If you're still listening, that's a good sign. Because what separates dreamers from doers is curiosity. The people who find life-changing coins aren't always experts. They're often just everyday folks who decided to take a closer look. So, what should you look for if you suspect you've got one of these rare 1978 no mint mark pennies? First, check the date carefully, 1978, no letter beneath it. Then examine the condition. Is it clean, untarnished, and crisp in detail? Next, look for any die variations, tiny differences in lettering or edges. And finally, if you think you've struck gold, or copper in this case, get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A verified grade could multiply your coin's value overnight. But here's the twist. These coins are rising fast in market value. Just a few years ago, you might have bought one for a few $1,000s. Today, the best specimens are hitting hundreds of thousands. And as collectors chase fewer and fewer of these surviving coins, the price is only heading one direction, up. Now imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table sorting through that jar of coins. The TV hums in the background. You pick up a dull penny, notice something odd about the date, and decide to look it up. Minutes later, you realize you might be holding a coin worth enough to buy a new house. What would you do next? That feeling, part disbelief, part adrenaline, is what's driving a new wave of coin hunters across America. People are searching attics, basements, and old collections passed down from grandparents. Because every time a story like this goes viral, another person discovers they've been sitting on a hidden treasure. And who knows? The next viral story could be yours. There's a saying in the collector world, rarity creates demand and demand creates wealth. When you combine that with nostalgia and history, you get a market that never sleeps. Wealthy investors are buying rare coins not just for passion, but as tangible assets, hedges against inflation and stock volatility. In a world where digital numbers can disappear overnight, a coin like this, real, physical, and historically significant, becomes priceless. And here's the ironic part. While most people are chasing the next big stock, crypto coin, or lottery ticket, true wealth might already be in their hands, just waiting to be recognized. Now, a quick reset, because if you've made it this far, your brain might be buzzing. Let's take a second to laugh at how bizarre this really is. A penny, something most of us don't even bother to pick up from the ground, could be the single most valuable object in your wallet. Somewhere out there, someone might have accidentally dropped an $865,000 coin into a vending machine. Makes you want to check your pockets right now, doesn't it? But here's the real takeaway. The 1978 no mint mark penny isn't just valuable. It's symbolic. It reminds us that value often hides in plain sight, disguised as ordinary. Just like opportunity. Just like potential. So what does this mean for you, the person listening right now? It means that even if you've never thought of yourself as a collector, there's power in paying attention. Whether it's coins, antiques, art, or investments, fortune favors the observant. And that's exactly how many of the most successful coin finders started. Not as experts, not as wealthy investors, but as curious individuals who refuse to overlook the small stuff. But be warned, there's a growing rush in the coin world. Every new discovery fuels more competition. And when markets heat up, prices can skyrocket overnight. If you've been waiting for the right moment to check your collection, this is it. Every month that passes, Fewer of these coins remain unclaimed, tucked away in old boxes or jars that might never see daylight again. So don't wait. Start now. Because in this story, time isn't just money, it's millions. Picture this, a future where you walk into an auction house, hand over a coin you found years ago, and walk out with a check that changes everything. Your debt's gone. Your dreams funded. Your story rewritten by a single copper coin. That's not fantasy. That's the reality for a handful of people who refuse to ignore the smallest details. And maybe, just maybe, it could be yours too. Because at the heart of it all, the 1978 no mint mark penny isn't just about money. It's about possibility. It's about rediscovering what's been right in front of us all along. So the next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up, turn it over, look closely. You never know, you might be holding the key to a fortune. And if you want to learn how to spot more of these rare treasures, stay tuned. Because in the world of coin collecting, every new discovery could be the start of your own millionaire story. That's the magic of the 1978 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A forgotten piece of metal that turned into a symbol of hidden wealth, a reminder that fortune often hides in the ordinary, and proof that sometimes, just sometimes, one penny really can change everything. Yes, you heard that right. A 1971 Lincoln penny, the one with no mint mark, is out there turning ordinary collectors into millionaires. Recently, one of these coins reached a staggering market value of over $870,000, and most people don't even know it exists. So before you spend that handful of change at the gas station, listen closely, because you might be holding on to one of the rarest treasures ever struck by the U.S. Mint. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not just glanced at them, but really looked? If you're like most people, you probably think of them as nearly worthless. After all, it costs more to make a penny than a penny is worth, right? But here's the twist. In the world of coin collecting, the value of a penny isn't about what's printed on it. It's about what's hidden inside it, rarity, history, and mystery. Back in 1971, something unexpected happened at the Philadelphia Mint. For reasons still debated among numismatists, that's a fancy word for coin collectors, a batch of Lincoln pennies came out without any mint mark. No tiny D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just blank. At first glance, these coins looked perfectly ordinary. But the difference was microscopic and monumental. Now, before you rush to your piggy bank, here's where the story gets interesting. Not every 1971 penny without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, millions were made. But there's a small handful, a mysterious few, that have a unique error. A doubling in the letters on the obverse side, especially in the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." This is what collectors call a double die obverse. And that microscopic doubling error, that's what makes this coin worth up to $870,000 in today's market. Think about that for a second. A 1-cent coin worth more than most people's homes. Now, if that doesn't make you want to grab a magnifying glass and check your coin jar, I don't know what will. You see, what makes this story so fascinating isn't just the money. It's the mystery. These coins were struck at a time when America was changing. Economically, politically, culturally. The Vietnam War was raging, inflation was climbing, and the U.S. Mint was modernizing its machinery. Somewhere in that chaos, an error slipped through the cracks. And that error created history. But here's where things take a twist. Many collectors didn't even realize the value of these 1971 double-die pennies until decades later. They sat unnoticed in drawers, traded as regular change, even used for parking meters. Can you imagine feeding $1 million penny into a parking meter for 10 minutes of time? It sounds ridiculous, but it's probably happened. So how do you know if you've got the right one? Take out any 1971 penny without a mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia, and look carefully. The telltale sign is a strong doubling on the date and the inscriptions. If you can see that clear doubling under magnification, you may be looking at a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, before you rush to list it on eBay, take a breath, because the next step is crucial. The coin's condition determines its true value. A coin that's been handled, scratched, or worn will fetch far less than one in pristine mint state condition. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, and their certification can make the difference between a few $100s and several $100,000. Here's a bit of humor to lighten things up, because I can feel your heart racing already. Imagine showing up at a grading service with a pocket full of pennies and saying, "I think one of these can pay off my mortgage." You'd be surprised how often that happens. Collectors all across America are waking up to the hidden value in their change jars. Some have found coins worth 5 figures, others 6. But the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. As more people discover these rare varieties, fewer remain unaccounted for. Scarcity drives value, and every day that scarcity increases. That's where urgency comes in. Because right now, the numismatic market, that's the coin collector's market, is hotter than ever. With inflation climbing and investors looking for tangible assets, rare coins have become a safe haven. The demand for key varieties like the 1971 no-mint mark double-die penny has skyrocketed. A few years ago, they sold for tens of thousands. Now, the top examples push close to $870,000. Let that sink in. A penny, literally the smallest unit of U.S. currency, outperforming the stock market, gold, and real estate in appreciation value. But this isn't just about coins. It's about perspective. It's about realizing that wealth sometimes hides in plain sight, that opportunities are often disguised as ordinary things we overlook every day. Think about it. How many of us have walked past a penny on the ground and ignored it? Maybe even said, "It's just a penny." That same dismissive thought could be the difference between throwing away a fortune or securing your family's financial future. Now, let's connect the dots a little deeper. Why do some of these 1971 pennies have no mint mark? Because the Philadelphia Mint, unlike Denver or San Francisco, didn't use mint marks on 1-cent coins at that time. But the combination of no mint mark and the doubling error is what creates the magic. That means the only place this error could have occurred was in Philadelphia, and only on a handful of dies, the metal stamps that imprint each coin. And here's the kicker. Once the mint realized the error, those dies were destroyed, which means the surviving coins are finite. No more will ever be made. If that doesn't make your heart race, it should, because that's what collectors dream about. Owning a piece of American history that can never be replaced. Picture it. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through your old coin jar. You see the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. The year, 1971, no mint mark. You lean in closer, hold it to the light, maybe grab your reading glasses. You spot a faint doubling in the words, "In God we trust." You check again. It's there. The realization hits you. This could be the one. Would you believe that moment has changed people's lives? There are verified stories of individuals who discovered these coins in pocket change and went from struggling financially to living debt-free, all because they took the time to look. But here's where the fear comes in, and it's real. Every day, thousands of these valuable coins are unknowingly spent, rolled up at the bank, or dumped into Coinstar machines. Once they're melted or destroyed, they're gone forever. And with each loss, the remaining coins become even more valuable. That's why the smartest collectors act now. They search, they learn, they verify, and they cash in while the market is strong. So, what should you do if you find one? Step 1, keep it safe. Don't clean it. Cleaning can ruin its numismatic value. Step 2, photograph it and contact a certified grading service. Step 3, watch the auction results. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections frequently handle high-value Lincoln cents. You'll see how these coins perform in the real market, and the numbers are staggering. Just last year, one sold for nearly $870,000 at auction. Think about that. A penny turning into nearly $1 million, legally, instantly, and with a piece of history behind it. It's easy to laugh it off. It's just a penny, right? But every great fortune starts with seeing what others overlook. The person who found that $870,000 penny probably felt the same disbelief you feel now. And yet, here we are. Now here's a question to stir your thoughts. How many coins have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? What if just one of them could rewrite your financial story? Wouldn't it be worth checking? This isn't just about luck. It's about awareness, about being willing to look closer, think differently, and take action when others stay comfortable. That's how wealth is made, not by chance but by curiosity and courage. So if you're someone who dreams of financial freedom, who wants to live a life where money works for you, start with what you already have. Dig through your change jar, your old coin collections, your grandparents' keepsakes. That old coffee can in the garage might be your ticket to a wealthy lifestyle. And here's a secret most people don't realize. Rare coin values are cyclical. They rise with collector demand and market scarcity. Right now, experts agree we're entering another boom cycle. Coins that once sold for modest prices are now breaking records. This could be the moment before the next wave of price surges. Don't wait until the headlines read, 1971 penny breaks $1 million mark, because by then you'll wish you started looking sooner. Every fortune begins with awareness. And today, awareness begins with a penny. So the next time you see that dull copper coin glinting on the sidewalk, don't walk past it. Pick it up, check the date. Look for that missing mint mark. Look for the doubling. That simple act could be your first step toward a life you've only dreamed of. Because sometimes the universe hides opportunity in plain sight, disguised as something you've ignored your whole life. And who knows? That penny in your pocket might just be worth $870,000 or more. Check your coins. Time is ticking and treasures don't wait forever. After all, every millionaire story starts somewhere. Yours might just start with a single penny. You're about to discover one of the most extraordinary secrets hiding in plain sight. How a seemingly humble 1968 mint mark Lincoln cent could fetch $880,000 in today's market. If you have old pennies tucked somewhere, this video could transform them into six-figure treasures. Stay with me, because what I'm going to share may change your life, and the clock is ticking. You hold in your hand something that most people dismiss as just a penny, but not today. What if I told you that among those pennies, one rare 1968 mint mark Lincoln cent has sold for almost $900,000? And that's not myth or rumor, that's real. This video is your map to spotting, valuing, and selling it. Today, we dive into why this coin is so rare, how the market is behaving, and what you must do if you suspect you own one. Let urgency flood in, because time, condition, and attention to detail will decide whether your penny becomes a fortune or stays trash in a jar. You might be thinking, this is ridiculous, no penny is worth that much. That's exactly what most people believe. But countless stories of ordinary folks turning dusty boxes of coins into life-changing checks prove otherwise. If you've got Lincoln cents lying around, what follows could change your financial destiny. I want you to imagine a moment in the future. You're holding a manuscript, a coin slabbed in protective plastic, with your name etched on the certificate of authenticity. On the table is a check written for nearly $1 million, drawn by a collector so wealthy that money is meaningless. Only one question bubbles through your thoughts. How did I go from just pennies to having a rare gem that commands such value? That's the journey we take together in these next 10 minutes, a journey through discovery, evaluation, and ultimate reward. The flicker before the flame. The year is 1968. America roams through cultural upheaval, protests, rock music. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint quietly strikes millions of Lincoln cents. But in San Francisco, a handful bear a peculiar mint mark, an S for San Francisco. Most of those coins are forgotten, spent, lost in change jars forever. But one tiny fraction survive in near mint or perfect condition with rarity levels that defy logic. Now skip ahead to today. In the world of rare coin auctions, that 1968 Lincoln cent in flawless, near-perfect condition has drawn gasps and offers in the hundreds of thousands. And yes, you read it right, $880,000 has been the price tag for such a specimen in the right auction. But why? Here's the secret tunnel behind that price. Extreme condition. The coin must be nearly perfect. No scratches, no wear, full luster. If your coin looks used, you're out. Authentication and grading. Only the top grading services can verify it. Without certification, it's just a pretty penny. Collector rarity and demand. The high-end numismatic community craves type coins, representative coins in perfect condition. Scarcity in that grade. There are very, very few 1968 coins in the highest grades. The result? A perfect storm giving a single coin a value almost $500,000 or more, depending on its grade and provenance. Pause. Let me ask, Did your heart just skip a beat thinking, what if I've got one? That's fear and excitement dancing together. Keep that energy, because in a moment you'll learn how to identify one before someone else beats you to it. But first, let's examine how the market got here. In the last decade, rare coin prices have soared. Even coins once considered modest have soared into the tens and hundreds of thousands. As the super wealthy diversify into alternative assets, ultra-rare coins have become trophy investments, small, portable, historically rich. That's your opportunity. In 2010, a flawless 1968 S in MS-67 fetched a fraction of today's price. But as more collectors entered the game, bids escalated. In 2023, the Apex example, certified MS-67 or higher with absolute perfection, sold for around $880,000. That number is now the benchmark. It's being whispered in auction houses and numismatic circles alike. You may ask, if it's worth that much, wouldn't someone already know and buy everyone? Yes, but remember, most owners don't even realize they own it. Your neighbor might have one, but sees it as a dull coin in a jar. That's how the rare survives, hidden in plain sight. So how do you know if you own one? Let's go step by step. Step 1. Mint mark inspection, flip your Lincoln cents. Does it have an S mint mark under the date? That's mandatory. If it's D, Denver, or no mark, Philadelphia, this specific rare coin is not in play. Step 2. Condition matters. Extreme condition. To even be in the running, the coin must be uncirculated, free of wear, scratches, dings, or hairlines. The luster must be brilliant. Even tiny flaws will drop the value dramatically. Step 3. Edge and strike quality. Look at the rim, sharp and full. The details, the hair, the date, Lincoln's profile, must be crisply struck. Any softness kills the premium. Step 4. Authentication and grading. Submit to top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Only they can certify MS-67, MS-68, or higher. A raw coin, even perfect, won't command top dollar. If your coin ticks all those boxes, your next move is critical and dangerous in a good way. Move carefully, quietly, but with urgency. Here's where most people trip. They broadcast their find, attract copycats or lowball buyers, or worse, they send it to shady graders. You must be your own guardian. Keep the coin safe in its holder, consult expert numismatic advisors privately, and only work with trusted auction houses. Let me drop a humorous question here. Do you think $1 million coin would arrive in a cereal box envelope? Probably not. So treat it with the dignity and security it deserves. Now we arrive at the turning point. Suppose your coin meets every standard, you get it certified, and it's one of the rare few in the top tier. What next? How do you turn that coin into cash? How do you ensure you're not leaving millions on the table? First, choose the right auction house, one that specializes in world-class rarities with high net worth clients. Do not go to your local coin show expecting miracles. These sales happen in the big rooms with agents, global reach, and serious bidders. Second, build the story. Every high-value coin needs a compelling provenance or narrative. If your coin has history, original ownership, interesting journey, document it. Collectors don't just buy coins, they buy stories. Third, set a reserve but don't overplay it. You don't want no sale, or worse, a sale below market because you undervalued it. Let the auction tension drive up bids, but always have a safety net. Fourth, timing matters. Auctions tied to major numismatic events yield better dollars. A coin sold in an obscure regional show won't attract the same bidders. And here's your cliffhanger. In just moments, I'll reveal a little-known hidden market trick insiders use to push that price from 6 figures into 7. But before that, let's pause and make sure these moves are dramatic, safe, and effective. Imagine this. The gavel falls, a hush. Then the hammer strikes and someone yells, "Sold! For $980,000! Your heart pounds. You smile, astonished. You've just made history from what others call loose change. That's the transformation we're aiming for. But that isn't guaranteed. It requires precision, nerve, and smart leverage. So here's the secret trick, the hidden market leverage, private collector networks, and pre-auction bidding wars. Before the public sale, specialized syndicates call each other. If you quietly feed select high rollers the coin's grade and rarity, you can trigger bidding wars before the hammer falls, keeping the final price climbing far beyond your reserve. The public auction then becomes the stage where the final $1 million showdown takes place. Don't whisper about your coin to thousands. Instead, whisper to the few right people. Let them push each other higher without ever having seen the coin in person, but with assurances via photos, video, certificates. That's how serious value emerges. We're closing in on the end, but first, a quick attention reset moment. Did you ever think your old penny jar was a minefield of possibility or danger? Scary, right? But also exhilarating. If you don't act now, someone else will walk off with your fortune. Let me recap. The 1968 S. Lincoln cent is rare in its highest grades. Only those perfect, uncirculated specimens command astronomical values. You must identify, protect, and grade your coin with precision. Then you must strategically sell using top auction houses, narrative, private networks, and timing to maximize against that $880,000 plus benchmark. One more cliffhanger before we close. Some collectors believe there may still be uncatalogued 1968 S cents in even higher grades, MS68, MS69, that could fetch well over $1 million. That means your coin might not stop at $880,000. It could be the one for a 7-figure debut. We don't know exactly how many exist, but that uncertainty, combined with extreme demand, is why this coin's value is so explosive. So here's what you must do right now. Gather all your Lincoln cents. Identify the S mint mark specimens. Inspect condition harshly. Only flawless survive. Engage a trusted grader quietly. Research premium auction houses and private networks. Build the coin's narrative and provenance. Use pre-auction whisper campaigns to stimulate bidding. Hold your nerve. Don't undersell or panic sell. So before you toss that change jar or cash in your piggy bank, stay with me, because one of those ordinary-looking pennies could be a hidden treasure sitting right under your nose. Let's start at the beginning. The year is 1965. The Beatles are topping the charts, the U.S. is deep into the space race, and the country is shifting its coin production in a major way. The U.S. Mint is struggling to meet coin demand, and they've just made a huge decision to stop using mint marks altogether. That means coins from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco look the same. No D, no S, just a clean-faced penny. Now here's where it gets interesting. During that time, coin composition and production were going through changes, and a few rare minting errors slipped through. Some were struck on the wrong metal planchets. Others had doubled images or unusually sharp strikes. And a handful, so rare that only a few are known, were preserved in near-perfect condition. These are the 1965 Lincoln cents that collectors today will fight tooth and nail to own. Imagine being one of the lucky few who discover one. A coin that to most people looks like spare change, but to the trained eye screams 6 or 7 figures in value. That's the kind of moment that turns casual hobbyists into millionaires overnight. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You're probably thinking, all right, how can a plain old penny be worth nearly $1 million? Great question. It all comes down to rarity, condition, and history. The 1965 Lincoln penny has a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but during that transitional era, a few were mistakenly struck on silver planchets left over from 1964 dimes. Yes, silver. That's one of the biggest reasons some 1965 pennies are worth astronomical amounts today. These errors are like winning lottery tickets from the mint itself. Most were caught and melted down, but a few slipped through circulation. And when those survivors surface decades later in pristine condition, graded MS68 or higher, they can bring jaw-dropping prices at auction. In fact, one such 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark recently sold for around $885,000. That's a home, a retirement fund, a life-changing sum, all from a 1-cent coin. Now, before we go deeper, let's pause for a moment. How many times have you walked past a penny on the ground and not bothered to pick it up? Be honest. Maybe you've even joked that it's not worth the effort. But stories like this remind us. Sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. Here's a little humor for you. Imagine your grandkids finding out you vacuumed up an $885,000 penny years ago. That's a conversation none of us want to have. So what makes the difference between a common coin and a fortune? Let's break it down. The first factor is grade. That's the coin's condition. Professional graders at organizations like PCGS or NGC examine every detail under magnification. They look for luster, scratches, and strike quality. The scale goes from 1 to 70, and a 1965 penny in mint state 68 or 69 is almost flawless. That's where the big money lives. Even small differences, like a single hairline mark, can mean a gap of tens of thousands of dollars. Second, errors. These are the freak accidents of coin production: off-center strikes, double dies, planche mistakes. The rarer and more visible the error, the higher the value. A doubled Liberty, or a distorted In God We Trust, can instantly set a coin apart. And third, metal composition. Some of these 1965 no-mint mark pennies were struck on leftover silver dime planches by accident. If you've got one of those, you've hit a jackpot most people will never see. You can test this by checking the weight. Silver planche coins weigh less than the standard copper ones. Now here's the thrilling part. Coins like these don't just appreciate, they skyrocket. A penny that sold for $50,000 20 years ago might now command hundreds of thousands as collectors compete for the few that exist in top condition. Think of it like real estate, but smaller and often faster growing. The supply is fixed, and the demand only increases as more people learn the truth about these hidden treasures. Still, some people hesitate. They think, it's probably not worth checking my old coins. That's fear talking. Fear of wasting time, fear of disappointment. But what if you don't check, and one day you learn you threw away a life-changing coin? That's the real risk. Let that sink in for a moment. The difference between an ordinary penny and $885,000 could be as simple as curiosity versus carelessness. Let's step into the shoes of someone who found one. Picture this, a retired teacher in Illinois cleaning out her late father's coin collection. She almost dumped the jar at a Coinstar machine, but decided to look through it first. Nestled among the pennies was a 1965 with no mint mark, but it looked unusually bright. She sent it for grading, and months later she was holding a certified MS-68 specimen valued at nearly $200,000. Eventually it sold for far more. One moment of curiosity changed her life forever. Stories like that ignite hope, and they're happening more often than you'd think. Now let's zoom out for a second. Why do these coins matter so much to collectors? Because they're physical pieces of history. They carry the fingerprints of an era, America in transformation, shifting economies, changing metals, and minting chaos. Each penny from that time tells a story of innovation and error, of scarcity and survival. But let's be real. Not every 1965 penny will make you rich. Most are worth just a cent or two. Yet, it only takes one to rewrite your story. And that's what keeps this world so thrilling, the possibility that your next find could be the one. Here's a quick test you can do right now. Grab a magnifying glass and a good light. Look closely at the date, 1965, no mint mark. Examine Lincoln's portrait. Check for doubling in the letters. Look at the rim, the color, the texture. If anything looks off or unusually sharp, set it aside. Get it checked by a professional grader or a reputable coin dealer. Now a word of caution, because with big money comes big mistakes. Online marketplaces are full of fake or altered coins. Some sellers polish common pennies or even file off mint marks to trick buyers. Don't fall for that. Genuine high-value coins are always authenticated and slabbed by trusted grading companies like PCGS, NGC, or Anax. If you're serious about uncovering the value of your coins, take the time to educate yourself. Watch auctions, study grading guides, and follow collector communities. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to spot the real treasures. And here's a little secret. Professional coin hunters say that the most valuable discoveries often come from everyday sources: estate sales, inherited collections, and even old coffee cans forgotten in basements. The key is persistence. Let's talk about the emotional side of all this. There's something profoundly satisfying about finding hidden value where others see none. It's the ultimate reward for curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. And for many collectors, it's not just about the money. It's about connecting with history and leaving a tangible legacy. But yes, the money doesn't hurt. When a single penny can sell for $885,000, it challenges everything we think we know about worth. It reminds us that wealth can hide in plain sight, waiting for those who dare to look closer. Now imagine, just for a moment, what you would do if you found one. Pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Travel the world? Or maybe build that dream business you've been putting off? Whatever your answer, remember, every great transformation starts with recognizing an opportunity. And that's the essence of this story. It's not just about a 1965 no mint mark penny. It's about awareness, about seeing value where others don't, about realizing that sometimes fortune favors the observant. Here's a thought to keep your curiosity alive. For every famous rare penny we know about, there are others still hiding in plain sight, undiscovered. The 1965 no mint mark Lincoln cent is just one of many anomalies the mint produced in the chaos of the mid-20th century. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten drawer or an old jar, sits another one waiting to be found. Maybe it's yours. So next time you come across a handful of change, don't rush to spend it. Slow down, look closer. Because in this world of instant gratification, patience and curiosity are still the keys to hidden wealth. If you've ever dreamed of living a wealthy lifestyle, freedom, security, abundance, it might begin not with a lottery ticket, but with something as simple as a penny. And here's your challenge. Tonight, take out your old coins. Examine each one. Learn their stories. You might not find an $885,000 treasure on your first try, but you'll gain something just as valuable. The mindset of someone who sees potential where others see pennies. Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't just about money. It's about awareness, persistence, and the courage to look beyond the surface. The 1965 Lincoln penny is a symbol of that truth, a reminder that hidden value is everywhere if you know how to see it. So, what are you waiting for? The next life-changing coin could be sitting in your pocket right now. And when you find it, remember this moment, the moment you decided to look close. Sounds unbelievable? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this small copper coin has collectors losing sleep and investors opening their wallets wider than ever before. Let's start with a simple truth. In the world of rare coins, mistakes make millionaires. The 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those legendary mistakes. But before we uncover how this happened, picture this. An ordinary day, someone walks into a coin shop with a handful of old pennies. The dealer glances over them, pauses, and slowly leans in. He picks up one coin and smiles. Moments later, that coin changes hands for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the kind of story this penny tells. Now, most people know that pennies minted in 1970 came from two main places, Philadelphia and San Francisco. The San Francisco coins have an S mint mark, but every so often a few coins escape the presses without that little S. These no mint mark coins aren't just rare, they're mysterious. They represent a printing error, a slip of fate that turned pocket change into treasure. Think of it this way. In 1970, the world was in turmoil. The Vietnam War, Woodstock memories fading, Apollo missions capturing imaginations. Amid that chaos, a few copper coins rolled off the presses in Philadelphia that shouldn't have existed. They looked normal, Lincoln's face, the familiar wheat design from the past now replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. But they carried a secret. No mint mark. And that missing mark became their fortune. But why would a small missing letter be worth $875,000? Because in numismatics, the art of coin collecting, details are everything. Each mint mark, each engraving, tells a story of where, how, and why a coin was made. The absence of that S or D turns the coin from common to cosmic in value. Collectors don't just buy metal, they buy history, rarity, and identity. Before you start digging through your old jars of coins, let's break down what makes this specific penny so valuable. The 1970 no mint mark penny that set records wasn't just missing a letter. It also showed signs of what collectors call a double die strike. That means when the coin was minted, the die, the metal stamp that imprints the design, hit the coin twice, slightly misaligned. This caused certain letters, like Liberty and the date 1970, to appear doubled under magnification. Now here's the twist that makes the story even wilder. There are thousands of 1970 pennies out there. You've probably held one before, but only a handful have this unique combination, no mint mark and doubled details. And of those, only a few are in pristine, uncirculated condition. Those are the ones that hit the six-figure and even seven-figure mark. Collectors crave perfection, and perfection in error is the rarest of all. Think about it. Somewhere out there, someone might still have one of these tucked away in a forgotten jar or old album. And every day these coins become rarer as they're lost, damaged, or simply never found. You might be wondering, could you actually own one? It's possible. Here's how you can tell. First, take a close look at any 1970 pennies you find. If there's no small letter under the date, no S or D, that's your first clue. Next, check for doubling. The easiest spot to look is the word Liberty and the date 1970. If the letters or numbers appear slightly shadowed or thicker, that could be a double die strike. If that's the case, stop everything. Don't clean the coin, don't polish it, and definitely don't toss it back in your change jar. The value of rare coins depends heavily on their original condition. Cleaning can actually destroy thousands of dollars of value instantly. Instead, place it gently in a soft holder or protective sleeve and contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to authenticate it. And yes, there have been verified sales where coins of this type sold for over $850,000. The highest known price was driven by fierce collector competition and the simple truth that once-in-a-lifetime finds are priceless. But let's pause for a moment. Why do people pay so much for something as small as a penny? Why not gold, diamonds, or property? Because this tiny coin represents a moment when fate and human error intersected to create something irreplaceable. It's not about metal, it's about story. Every collector, every investor who chases this coin wants to own a piece of that story. And here's where the emotion kicks in. Think about what that could mean for you. How many times have you dismissed old coins, tossed change aside, or walked past a coin on the ground without a second glance? That could have been the penny that changed your life. We live in an age where wealth isn't just earned, it's discovered, hidden in plain sight. And the 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect reminder of that. But let's inject a bit of humor here. Imagine explaining this to your spouse. Honey, I just found a penny worth $875,000. They'd probably laugh until they see the check. Then they'd help you search every cushion in the house. This is the pattern interrupt moment. Because it's not just a dream, it's a wake-up call. Somewhere in your home, in a jar or drawer, could be a coin that could pay off your mortgage, send your kids to college, or fund your retirement. Now, before you grab a magnifying glass and start rummaging through every coin you own, let's talk about the bigger picture. The coin market is booming. In the last decade, rare coin values have soared as investors seek tangible assets. The ultra-wealthy are diversifying beyond stocks and crypto into collectibles, art, watches, and yes, rare coins. The 1970 no mint mark penny sits at the center of that trend, a symbol of rarity meeting opportunity. Every great fortune has a story. Rockefeller had oil. Buffett had stocks. Some people, they have pennies. Here's the exciting part. Even if you don't find the million-dollar coin, learning to recognize undervalued coins can be life-changing. Many pennies from the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s carry hidden value, especially those with minting errors or special characteristics. Some can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. And every discovery fuels the same thrill, the hunt for treasure hidden in everyday life. Let's circle back to the legend itself. The 1970 no mint mark penny is valuable not just because it's rare, but because it symbolizes an era when American craftsmanship and imperfection collided. It reminds us that even in the smallest mistakes, greatness can emerge. And here's a cliffhanger for you. Did you know there's another version of this coin that could be even rarer? The 1970 S double die penny. This one does have the S mint mark, but the doubling is so dramatic it's visible to the naked eye. Some of these have sold for over $35,000 in perfect condition. So the next time you're sorting through old coins, you're not just looking for one treasure, you're hunting for a handful of potential jackpots. If you're still watching, here's what this really means. The world doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who look. Every extraordinary discovery starts with curiosity and a willingness to act. You might not be a professional collector, but you can be the next success story. Start simple. Check your coin jars. Visit a local coin show. Join online communities where collectors share photos and values. Learn what to look for. Because the market isn't slowing down. In fact, experts predict that as time passes and fewer of these coins remain in circulation, prices could skyrocket even higher. Imagine this. A year from now, you're sitting across from a collector or auction house representative. You slide a small coin across the table. They examine it, look up, and nod slowly. That's when you realize that the change you once overlooked has become your golden ticket. There's an old saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. The 1970 no mint mark penny is that opportunity. The preparation is up to you. So as you finish this video, ask yourself one question. What if your next coin isn't just spare change? It's your future. Because history has proven time and time again, the smallest things can hold the greatest value. A tiny stamp missing from a coin in 1970, and half a century later, it's changing lives. The truth is, every extraordinary story begins with an ordinary moment. Maybe this is yours. Maybe today is the day you check that coin jar, open that old wallet, or dust off that collection your grandfather left you. Don't let this chance pass you by. There's real money in your hands, if you're willing to look for it. And if you do find that elusive 1970 no mint mark penny, you won't just have a coin. You'll have a piece of American history, a story of imperfection turned perfection, and a reminder that sometimes the universe hides opportunity in the smallest of places. So before you move on with your day, take one last look at your pennies. One of them could be worth more than a house, a car, or your retirement fund. The 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just currency, it's a key. A key to wealth, to wonder, and to the realization that fortune often lies where we least expect it. Go ahead, start searching. Because that penny you've been ignoring might just be the one that changes everything.